Hi there, my name's Walter McComplain. Today we're going to be ranting about Gaijin. Recently, I was in Vienna. I was in Vienna because I wanted to go to Vienna, and I have to say, I really enjoyed Vienna. I saw a Rammstein concert, I rode my bike up the Schönheitstraße, and most importantly, I saw just how amazing life up north is, because people who drive their cars actually know how to drive their cars. Speaking of people who know what they're doing, nope, not talking about Gaijin here, talking about me, because I'm bringing you this video completely free of any kind of sponsorship, and if you would like to support the channel, please consider subscribing on Twitch. Thank you very much. Now, I also have a Patreon account. I don't use the Patreon account, but I have it, which means that those of you who would actually want to use Patreon to support this channel can use Patreon to support this channel. In fact, if you're shut up HTC 10, if you're extremely bored and you would like to actually have a little bit of a gander at what my old content used to look like, mind you, only thumbnails and titles, you can go to my Patreon, have a scroll, because some old videos posted there still exist. So at least you can see what kind of content used to be uploaded, but is no more. Because Orange got drunk one day and decided all content should be removed from the channel. Good idea, Orange. And that brings us to today's video, which is inspired by no other than the European Canadian. I'm now going to read the entirety of the Q&A. To start things off, dear players, we have another round of questions and answer for you, with Walton the producer, Vyacheslav Bulanikov. Thank you, Vyacheslav. We are very happy to have your answers. So, let's start with the first question. Currently, the community has an active discussion regarding the mouse. Many players are upset that this tank will disappear from the regular tech tree. A lot of questions about the possibility of obtaining it after release of 1.91, because the information which we published in the devlog was that the vehicles which will be withdrawn and will become event vehicles. Can you tell us a bit more about it? Now, in fact, I found this question so very informative and interesting, just filled with little details, that I decided I'm going to make the entire video on it. I know some of you maybe actually were looking forward to hearing the entirety of the Q&A being read out, and if you're one of those people, then make sure to squeeze the like button, and maybe I'll make a SoundCloud podcast where I read every single post Gaijin ever posts, and I'll just read it out. This question is interesting because it is not from the community. I mean, let's start with the obvious. The questions here are provided by no one. There's no name put next to them. Even if they were lazy, they could have just typed in Simon. Simon asked this question. Jody asked that question. Francis asked that. Nobody cares whom it really comes from, as long as we have, somebody to relate to. This way is just a question that just pops out of nowhere. I'm not saying that if it's at Simon, I'm going to go and check YouTube and Twitter and Reddit to see if there was actually a dude named Simon who made that exact same comment, and if the comment was actually taken as a whole without anything being omitted or censored. Now, I don't know about you, but in order for me to relate to a question and take the answer to that question seriously, I need to relate to that person. I need to feel like this is being taken seriously. And when I'm reading this, and I'm going to give you a bit of background here. I studied English at the university 2 years ago. I didn't like the course in particular. I didn't like the theoretical approach of it, because there was a lot of studying about nouns and adjectives and adverbs. I hated it because I was always bad at the theory of language. But it left me a few things in my mind that I can use to dissect this question completely. I mean, look. Currently, the community has an active discussion regarding the mouse. This is not part of a question. No person who's in the community right now would write that, because we know we're not even having a discussion, to be honest. It's not like the community is sitting, at a big table having a little chat. We're literally rioting about this. We're not fans of this going on. And it just splits the community into different brackets. Those that really are going to go and spend money and grind for it, and those who are just going to, rage quit like myself. Many players are upset that this tank will disappear from the regular research tree. That is also not really a question that a player would put together. A player would say that we are upset. A player would say, I am upset, because it's personal to us. And then a lot of questions about the possibility of obtaining it after release of 1.91 because the information which we published in the dev blog, this sentence, we published, screams that this was written by somebody at Gaijin. That this was written by somebody who's taken a rough idea of what the community complains about, has taken it majorly out of context, has tried to make it look nice, as if, you know, if some otherworldly being like an alien was reading this question, it would look like, oh, there's a mild problem, it's not like it's a big deal. I mean, I don't know about you, but all these Q&As for me, it feels like I'm sitting in a public toilet, and then a Gaijin developer walks in and just starts talking to himself in the mirror. I'm stuck there as, you know, I can hear the conversation, but I'm not part of it. And this is how I feel when I'm reading these answers. And it's no surprise to me that the actual response from the community is not positive. And I think this has more to do with the actual question than the answer. I mean, sure, the answers are relatively bad. They're pretty poorly executed because they're clearly written by somebody who's not actively played the game, has not actively taken into account all the actual complaints, but mainly because the question isn't coming from us, it's coming from Gaijin. They're crafting their own questions so that they can evade the answers that they wouldn't really want to provide. And for me, this funny sort of ironic, almost hypocritical loop that we're in is that the players are complaining that Gaijin is being lazy, when I think on the contrary, they're being so not lazy that they're going to the extent to actually manipulate us with changing the questions to their own personal liking. It's a curse. It's a curse because the developers are putting ridiculous amount of time to create more and new vehicles and make all those fancy designs. They're going through the extent to write all these posts, to make all these researchers, to go to the museums and get all the necessary numbers and armor thicknesses and shell penetrations. But at the end of the day, when it comes to something as simple as a Q&A, where literally the only thing you have to do is find a comment on one of your social platforms and answer it, they're incapable of doing it. And at this point, I have absolutely no idea why. It shouldn't be that complicated. It shouldn't be that overthought. You know, this is Q&A we're talking about. This isn't game development. It doesn't require knowledge of coding. It doesn't require knowledge of history or realism or anything. This is common sense. And if a Q&A is where we're struggling, then that speaks for the rest. And with that said, this video is going to be a relatively short one compared to the other ones we've uploaded, but it's due to the time constraints of this week, the things I'm doing, and I have a couple of fixes that need tending, mainly the Ethernet cable, which is one of the main reasons I have not been streaming, because the internet has been a bit unreliable, and the whole streaming software tends to crash every time I stream. So it's, you know, instead of one stream, you get like 3 micro ones with one progressively more annoyed streamer. So in the background is the actual title of this video, which is the unluckiest player I've had the opportunity of dueling in the past time. This was Not So Dead, who decided to match me against in the A5, the premium Focke-Wulf for the Japanese tech tree. And he just got hella unlucky. In the first duel, he set me on fire, which in most cases is, you know, where you lose the duel, but then somehow I was able to still get shots into him. And then to make matters worse, in the second round, he actually manages to get a very lucky shot into me. I go into a flat spin, and, well, I'll leave the clip at the end of the video. As always, thank you for watching, and leave a comment down below, preferably a question, so that I can, you know, censor it and answer it myself. Cheerio. Woo, he's getting lucky again. No, 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 no. Get out of it. Get out of it. What? 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 My dude. Dude. Oh, I've never had that happen in my life, man. I've never... Oh, this guy's so unlucky, man. I'm sorry, man. All I'm gonna say is good luck on your date. Hopefully it ends better than this. Oh, somebody clip that, man. Oh. Oh my god. I've never had that happen ever. I've never had that happen in my life.